finishing up our series, our three-part series about love song. If you were here with us for the first week, we talked about God honoring attraction. We talked about how you go about looking for someone to date and how you pursue that aspect of it. And then if you were here last week, we had the wonderfully awkward and great, amazing talk about sex, and we talked about the honeymoon. Yeah, we did. Between Solomon and the Shulamite woman. And so we have the attraction, we have the honeymoon, and now we're going to actually read through their first fight. Okay, so the honeymoon's over, literally, and then they're gonna have a fight here. Okay, but in all actuality, within relationships, fights are common, right? Fights are going to happen. It happens in all relationships. Don't worry if you're in a relationship and you have disagreements. It's natural. It's a part of it. A healthy relationship, you fight clean. Healthy relationship, you don't dive into your mama and stuff like that. But an unhealthy relationship, you're going to go dirty. You know what I'm talking about? At least I didn't leave the refrigerator door open 3.5 years ago and ruin all our food. Like, why would you bring that up? We're talking about something completely different, right? How many of you have ever been a part of that? Either the instigator or the recipient, right? Where someone just goes dirty in the fighting. Not like throwing mud, but they're just uncalled for. I was 5. I'm sorry. It was 10 years ago. Come on. So that a healthy relationship, clean fighting. Unhealthy relationship, you fight dirty. Healthy relationship, you come to a resolution. You resolve it. You fix the problem. In an unhealthy relationship, you have a victor. How many of you go into fights and you want to be the victor? Right? You get in an argument and you're like, I'm not going to lose. Right? My brother growing up, I was the peacemaker. My brother was the arguer. My brother would argue any point just because he loved to argue. And it was all about the W for him, all about the victory. And I was all about getting the fight over. How many of you are not confrontational? You're like, I don't want the fight. About 3 of you, rest of you, all right. Got some feisty people in there. But we all are going to get into fights. And we're going to get into things that causes trouble, okay? And so we're going to continue on in Song of Solomon. And we're going to kind of read about this situation going on. And we're going to kind of see what happens. Okay, so here we go. First set of verses. Okay. I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. What's on his mind? Right? He's like, open the door. Come on. And then he says, my head is drenched with dew, my hair with dampness of night. AKA, he was out late. All right? So she's already in bed. He was out late. He comes knocking. And he's like, hey, sweetie pie, your lover boy's here. Right? And it's in the middle of the night. Now, previous weeks, we talked about, things were said like this. Strengthen me with raisins. His left arm under my head, his right arm around me embraces me. We said stuff like that. They also said, until the day breaks and the shadows flee. We're going to be having a lot of fun all night long. They also said stuff like, blow on my garden. We don't even know what that means, but blow on my garden. Let the beloved come into his garden. This is what's going on. This is a wonderful relationship, right? It's exciting. All this stuff happens. And then we suddenly get this time where he comes in late. Middle of the night. She couldn't sleep because she didn't know where he was. She lay awake. And then this is what it said. Verse 3. I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? I have washed my feet. Must I sole them again? Again, this is Hebrew for I have a headache. Go away. All right? He comes in. He's like middle of the night. Hey, my sweetie bear, your hunk of love is here. Come on, open the door. And she's like, go away. That's what she said. Why is she saying go away? Because he came in late. All right, all he thinks about is like, I just show up because I'm just the man, the myth, the legend. She will open that door and then she's like, no. All right. And so he's wanting some loving. She's tired. This is often an expectation. Like he wants something, she doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And this is causing some turmoil. All right. The root causes of conflict are what we're going to be talking about tonight. So the first one is an unmet expectation. Okay? She was expecting him. She was expecting him to come in, to be home at a good time. She wasn't thinking that he was going to be out late. But he was. He didn't show. Okay? Basically, in her terms, she's saying, okay, you remember the petting zoo? You remember the fawns? Well, the petting zoo's closed. All right? You were late. If you were here last week, you get that joke. If you weren't, okay. So, basically, this is going on. And this happens a lot in relationships. There's unmet expectations. For example, a lot of you ladies out there, your father, he may pay the bills, he may take out the trash, and you may think, okay, my husband's supposed to do that. He's supposed to take out the trash. Why is he not doing that? I'm upset. Or guys, you may think, you know what, my mom cooked really well, and she just doesn't cook as good as mom. Don't ever say that, by the way. FYI. But they're like, the expectation of she'll want to cook for me. She'll want to do that because my mom did that. Or maybe she'll want to be more intimate all the time because that's the expectation that we have. And it goes into with expectations and it leads to turmoil. An expectation in mine and Teresa's life that probably led to our biggest fights was getting the mail. Yeah, exactly. Whenever I grew up, we did not have these wonderful things called mailboxes. I mean, they existed, but we didn't have them. We had a post office box. And really how getting the mail worked was that whoever wanted the mail the most ended up going into town to get the mail. So if you wanted the mail, you went and got the mail. If you didn't, you didn't. And I never got the mail in my life. Just wasn't part of it. My wife grew up with a mailbox. This wonderful invention. And her expectation was that whoever was home first, after the mail had come, should get the mail. Now, I think this was like, for me, I didn't know there was a problem for the first little while because I didn't talk about it. You know, I didn't get, did you get the mail, honey? No, I didn't. I forgot. Okay. And she's like, okay. She'd go out and get the mail. All right. And then after a while, I started to ask me, oh, you know what? I'll run and get it right now. No, I already got the mail. Okay. And then it got to a point where I was like, what's the about the mail? Why? Because she was not taking it as, oh, you know, he's just forgetting the mail. He doesn't want the mail. She was saying he doesn't care. If he cared, he would get the mail. I didn't know. We didn't talk about it. We had this unmet expectation. I expected if she wanted the mail, she'd get the mail. And she expected me to get the mail if I would beat her home, which was every day. So we had this building tension. All right? And really, the crux of arguments in year one, that and driving, but we won't get into driving. Okay, so we have this thing going on because there was unmet expectation. In your relationships, you have to get your expectations out there. You have to speak them. No one's going to know. Ladies, guys aren't mind readers. Guys, ladies aren't mind readers. In both instances, we're going to have to talk about it, okay? So that's the first thing that really is the cause of bless you. Not the cause of bless you, but, really the cause of turmoil in relationships and conflict. The second one is this, self-centeredness. If you look at this situation, they were both pretty self-centered. She looks at the situation and she's like, I have taken off my robe. Okay, I'm in my PJs. She's like, I am ready for bed. My hair is in curlers. I have the mask on. I'm in. I've never done that, but is that cool? Has anybody ever done that? Does that help? Okay, of course Blaine has done that. All right, so anyway, so she's saying, you know what? I don't want to get up. I don't want to. I want to stay in bed. So there's a self-centeredness there. He has self-centeredness too. He's like, I want to hang out with the guys till late at night. I want to go and do this. And then I want to come back and I want her to be awake and for us to have some fun, some marital fun together. This is very self-centered. Okay? It's kind of like this can go on in like nowadays life. Like she decides she really wants a purse, so she's just going to go spend the money. Or a guy, you really want your technology, so you're going to update your phone you just got 2 months ago. You're going to update it again because the new one's out there. These things can go out there, and it's all about you. Whenever it's all about you, there's something wrong. In our relationships, if you come, if you ever find yourself in your head, I want to do da-da-da. Go ahead and check yourself before you wreck yourself, all right? It's something that, okay, we're being really self-centered here. And there's some other things with that, some phrases you should avoid are always and never. Because no one always does something, no one never does something, in the sense of, you're saying that there's no sense of change, right? Well, you always don't get the mail. Not true. I got it like twice in a year.
You never got that.
And, or you never get the mail. Yeah, sorry. Something like that. It's not true. No matter how you say it, that automatically defines something. Like, you know what? You always bring up something I did wrong. Or you never compliment me. All right? And when these words invoke selfishness, and they also drive people away. You need to stay away from that. Because fighting itself, fighting is good. Fighting all the time is not good. How many of you ever seen The Notebook? Right?
Yes.
I almost showed this clip. And
what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. I almost showed that clip where he's like, that's what we do. We fight. You call me an arrogant son of and I tell you what a pain you're being. And I was going to show it, but there was too much of in it. So, but we always fight. Some people feel like if you're in a dating relationship, you're like, man, if we fight, you know what'll make it better? Getting married. That'll help. No. No, you can have a perfect relationship. You get married, you're going to fight. It happens. And it definitely happens. Whenever you get adding more stress into a situation is not going to help it. So if you're in a dating relationship, you're fighting all the time, it's not going to get better with marriage. Okay? And it's the same thing. Some people are like, oh, you know what? We're having a horrible marriage. Let's have kids. That'll make it better. Yeah, aka let's change poopy diapers and not sleep. That will help our relationship. Not true. Not true, right? So this selfishness. You got to avoid this selfishness. So whenever you think about it, you got to think, okay, where are they coming from? It comes back to, we need to talk about this. Why do they want to do this? Why do I want to do something else? Okay, let's continue on. All right? So it's going to get a little weird, but we're going to explain it. My beloved thrust his hand through the latch opening. My heart began to pound for him. Let's pause.
Yes.
Okay. Whoa, we're pausing. All right. So this is not like he's breaking down the door. I want to be clear. It's not like he's like, "Wah!" and he puts his hand through the door. It's not like a structure of houses today. He's able to get his hand through. Okay. He gets his hand through and he's doing something. She's not sure what he's doing, okay? And then this crazy thing happens. She did not want him in the room. She did not want him to have to get up. She did not want anything to do with that. And suddenly, her heart pounds for him. Guys, I'm going to break a truth to you that you just need to know. Girls change their minds. They do. And it doesn't have to have a reason. There doesn't have to be a rhyme. There doesn't have to be some logical thing. It can be, but it just happens. A lot of guys are like, well, we got to process. We got to go through, we just don't go, hey, we're fine now. No, we have to do process. But no, in this sense, she's like, get away from me, get away from me. Don't go anywhere. Come inside. Okay, that's what's going on. So he's like, and he's doing something with the door, and she's not entirely sure, but she's like, oh, I changed my mind. You can come in now. All right, so that's where we are. And then so I arose, this is her. I arose to open the door, to open for my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh. My fingers were flowing with myrrh, and the handle of, on the handle of the bolt. Blah. I opened it for my beloved, but my beloved had left. He was gone. My heart sank at his departure. I looked for him, but did not find him. I called him, but he did not answer. All right, so what happens is, what he's doing, he bursts his hand through. He actually has his hand covered in perfume. All right, he puts his hand through and he puts it on the doorknob. He's like, here's smelly stuff, because, smelly stuff, good stuff, right? So he puts his smelly stuff on the doorknob. Romantic gesture. Okay, that's good. Okay, you don't want to be romantic? Hey, I got some myrrh for you. Here you go. And now it's like, you're not going to be able to open the door. He's like, But anyway, he puts this on the door, and it works. All right, she's changed her mind. She's decided, okay, I'll open the door for him because he stuck his hand through the wall. I don't know. People are crazy back then. So she gets up, she changes her mind. But what has he done? He's up and he's left. Okay? If we want to resolve conflict, I want you to remember this. We need to act, not react. So what happens in this situation? They have the argument. He's like, "Smoop-chee-poo, open the door." She's like, "Go away." And he's like, "Well, here's this." And he's like, "You know what? I'm out. Peace. You can deal with that. I can't handle this right now." And what actually happens is, and we're going to skip over, we're not going to read it, but she actually goes out looking for him. And in the process of going out looking for him, she actually runs into the person who's guarding the gate, ends up humiliating her. They end up making fun of her. It ends up being a very, very troubling time for her. All because he left. All because he left. All right? Our next verse is this. It says, Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. When you're in an argument with somebody, what's your first reaction? What do you want to do? What?
You're wrong.
Okay, they're wrong. What else? Cry. Some of us, don't judge. Some of us are criers. Adam and Teresa, I am definitely the crier. How about this? If I punch you, what do you want to do to me?
Punch you back.
I want to punch me. Right? That too. The only fight I ever got in my life was with my brother. At Christmas, I was 8, he was 10. My uncle told me, "Y'all take it outside." I was so pumped. I was going to go outside. I was going to take care of it. My brother told me, but he was not tougher than me. We went outside. I said, "Come on, bring it. You can't hit me. You can't handle it." Punched me in the shoulder, fell down crying, and went back inside. So you're fairly right. That's probably what I would do. But most of us, we're going to punch back. We're going to react to the situation. In our anger, we're going to react. It's no different when you fight with a girlfriend or with your spouse. You're going to want to hurt them because they're hurting you. Even though you care about them, even though they're close to you, even though you love them, your gut reaction is to hurt them back. And I'm talking about verbally. If anyone ever hits you, call the police on that joker. All right? But I'm talking about verbally. That's what you're wanting. That's what your flesh desires. But we're going to act, not react. So we got to take that moment. We got to go, okay, we're not going to be overcome by evil, but we're going to overcome evil with good. In our relationship, what does that mean? That means that you're not going to blow up at this scene. You're going to take time to go, okay, we got to talk. Why? Why are you mad? Why is this a problem? What's the big deal? You got to react as God would have you react. Because whenever you react in anger, you react stupidly 99% of the time. It's apparent that anytime you react immediately out of anger, you're going to do something dumb. All right? So we get to this point of you got to make sure to think about what you're doing. You got to think about it. You got to diagnose in your head. Okay, let's talk about it. It all comes back to this communication. Let's not react. Let's talk. All right. The next thing it says, whenever you focus on the bad instead of the good, that's another cause of conflict. It's something else that's gonna mess you up. Whenever you focus on the bad, how many of you ever met negative Nancy's that no matter what, it's bad? You'd be like, "Hey, here's $1 million." And they'll be like, "Oh, the taxes on this are gonna be incredible." You know, you'd be like, "Oh, hey, you just got a new car." Well, it's not a truck, so. You know, there's people like that. They focus on the negative. And in relationships, I would tell you this. The honest truth is that you will not find anybody out there that doesn't do something that annoys you. There's going to be something. Somewhere, some part, there's going to be something that is not the way you want it to be. And your job is not to change your spouse. But you look at it and you go, okay, why did I fall in love with this person? Why do I care so much about this person? Me and my wife, we have differing views on organization, or at least levels of cleanliness, if you will. All right? But there's something early on in our marriage that it wasn't as much of a contention as the mail, because the man handled the mail. But we would clean something. I'll be like, you know what? I'll clean it. I'll clean the kitchen. I get the kitchen. Baby, don't worry about the kitchen. I get the kitchen. And I would clean the kitchen. And by my standards, that kitchen was clean. It looked good by my standards. My wife has a different standard of cleanliness. She would walk in, she'd be like, thanks. And then later, a little bit later, it would be like, okay, I just got to wipe down the counter a little bit more because, it looks clean, but you run your hand over and it still feels stuff, And I'm like, oh, but you can't see that, right? Right? Come on, that's not a big deal. Now, my wife, who is an awesome, awesome person, she didn't focus on that. Some of you are out there thinking amen to that, aren't you? Like, that's not clean. Okay, but she didn't focus on that. There was many things I did well. Okay, there's many things that I did. I cared about her a lot. I did a lot of dishes. I did a lot of laundry. There was all these different positives that were out there that she could focus on. So she wasn't focused on the negative. When we get caught up on the negative, and I'll tell you one negative I had about my wife whenever we were dating, looking to pursue something, was that she wasn't the exact same Christian background as me. I grew up, don't strike me down, I grew up Baptist, and then I was non-denominational, but mostly Baptist. And my wife was Lutheran, her family was Catholic for a while. She did a lot of different background churches, and it was like that was a negative to me because she didn't think exactly like I did, which come to find out there's a lot of things we don't think alike. But with this point, it was something that like I could focus on that and make it real turmoil. Oh, well, you don't believe exactly this? Well, what about in the Bible where it says da-da-da-da-da? And it would have made my relationship pretty poor. Probably wouldn't have gotten this far. But we have to focus on the good. Our next one is this. It's verse 8 of Philippians 4:8. It says this: whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. All right? When you're thinking about good stuff, you're going to do better. If you think about like grumpy stuff, you're going to be grumpy. Right? You think about, man, he should bathe more, and get that haircut. And you know what? He doesn't put the spoons in the right spot in the drawer. And you sit there, and then he comes in the room, and you're like, hey, and then you just have these moments where what you're thinking about dictates what you're going to do in your relationship. So you got to be thinking about good things. How many of you know who Billy Graham is? All right. For those of you who don't know, Billy Graham is one of the most, I guess you could say, profound evangelists in Christian history, especially in the 1900s. He did crusades all over the world. Millions of people came to know Christ through his ministry. All right. And he was gone 7 months out of the year. And someone comes up to his wife and says, "Isn't that just a horrible husband that he is gone for 7 months out of the year? I mean, how can he do that?" And she says, she turns this report and she says, "Well, you know what? 5 months with Billy is better than any other man for 12. She was focusing on the good. Okay? And then here's the last one. Here's the one that his advice didn't take. When you walk away, it really causes conflict. I will talk and not walk. All right? Next verse says, "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you're still angry. And if you do not give do not give the devil a foothold." Okay? So there's something that whenever you get married, you're going to realize it's universal. No one has to tell you. You're going to get in a fight. You're going to get angry, and you're going to go to bed, and you're going to automatically go back to back. It's like, whatever. That's your side of the bed. It's my side of the bed. You're going to lay down. It happens. You don't even have to discuss it. It's like in sync, and it happens. All right? You don't need to go to bed angry. Why? How many of you ever have cooked anything on the stove? Right? You're cooking something on the stove. If you put that, let's say eggs. You put eggs on the stove under heat, what's going to happen? It's going to cook eventually. All right? Now what happens if you leave it on there and never take it off? It's going to burn. Maybe set the house on fire. You never know. Okay, it's going to burn. Your anger is the same way. Whenever you get angry, especially in relationships, if you get angry with your spouse, your girlfriend, or whatever, and you sit on it, it doesn't just go away. It gets worse. Whenever you focus on it, it builds, it grows, it gets more burnt, the problem gets worse and worse, and it doesn't just go away. You can't just be like, we'll just sleep on it and get better. Have you ever gone to bed angry? Anybody ever done that? Whenever I go to bed angry, one, I don't sleep well. Two, I have bad dreams, usually about zombies or raptors. Don't judge. And then three, I wake up even madder at the person. Even madder at the situation. I had a full night to stew on it. The heat was still applied because I had not addressed the issue. Whenever you're angry, you don't need to walk away. Now, some of you are people who are like blow up people, and you're like, I need to step out before I just... All right? You can step out, but you've got to come right back. He left, he went away, she couldn't find him, and it led to disaster for her. led to a horrible, humiliating experience for her because he wasn't willing to stay. In your relationships, you want to avoid this conflict. You have to talk about everything. You have to be willing to work it out. You have to be willing to get a resolution. You have to be willing to stay. Willing to stay and willing to be there throughout the discussion. If you have a victor, you've lost. If you have someone who, if you walk away from it, it's over. Not over relationship, but the problem is not going to get any better. So for your relationships, you need to know, we need to have this open communication. We need to make sure that we don't shut anyone out. Because you're on a team. You're trying to make each other better. You're not trying to get what you want. You're trying to make life better. You're trying to make them better. And that doesn't happen when you walk away. So what I want to leave you tonight with, and this is closing out, I'm going to pray for y'all. But I want you to think about that. Next time, even in friendships, this is the same way. How are you dealing with the conflict? Are you ignoring it? Are you shoving it under the rug? Are you trying to hide it? Are you just trying to win? Because all of those things don't help the situation. Don't make it better. God calls us to not get angry. God calls us to not let Satan get that foothold in our lives to try to destroy us. You all pray with me? God, I thank you for today. I thank you for every person in here, and I thank you for the wisdom that you've been willing to give to us. God, I pray whenever it comes to reconciling relationships, when it comes to resolving things, God, I pray that we have patience. I pray, God, that we act, we don't react, that we stay there, we don't walk away. I pray, God, that you give us the wisdom to sit down and discuss. You give us the strength and the endurance to open up our minds and our hearts about how we feel about these things, so that we don't let them get worse, so that we can build better relationships with each other and with you. God, I pray that as everyone goes out this week, I pray that you just be with them, and that you help them to be slow to anger, and help them to keep on their mind everything that's pure, right, noble, praiseworthy. Help them keep that at the front. In your name, Lord Jesus, I pray. Amen. Y'all.